Hello and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Sunday. It is January 25th and a big day of carryovers around the country. So including Gulfstream Park, Santa Anita. I know they've got a couple of those commingled pools. There's a carryover in the Sunset Pick 6. There's a carryover in the Coast to Coast Pick 5. And the carryover in the Santa Anita, traditional Pick 6. So a lot of big betting pools to get into today. I don't know if you're multitasking, watching the AFC, NFC championship games, betting the horses, but a very busy day here this Sunday, January 25th. So the betting opportunity I'm going to take here, what I like doing is I like betting that late Pick 5 on carryover days. I mean, people come in with bigger bankrolls for these carryovers. They get into the multi-race pools, multi-race wagers, and I do like that late Pick 5. When you've got a Pick 6 carryover in Southern California, that first leg doesn't work out for folks, they're going to jump in and play that late Pick 5. So that's kind of just what my mode is here today. And the late Pick 5 does start in the fifth race of the day at Santa Anita. It has an approximate post time of about 2:30 Pacific, so that's 4:30 here in the Central Time Zone. And we're starting out the fifth race with a mile on the grass. These are maiden special weights, and these are fillies, 4-year-olds and up. So maybe we'll see some good horses come out of here. I've got two horses that I feel, should get this Pick 5 started and get the ticket advanced. I'm going to go with the one horse who was Pura Vida Princesa for Doug O'Neill. He puts Esmael Jaramillo on the horse. Now, these guys have certainly paired up and done some nice work, and Esmael Jaramillo has done some nice work, for whoever he's ridden for. So I like the jock switch here. This horse has been ridden previously in her lifetime by Antonio Fresu in her last many starts. And in watching the film, this horse was just really very keen in her last couple and just kind of uncomfortable, stuck inside, just really seemed to be exerting a whole lot of energy early in the race. And, she finished up nicely, so it shows me a lot of talent. But, she's been given, a little bit of a break. We last saw her back in November at the Del Mar Fall meeting. And, she ran like that, as I mentioned. And, a little bit of a break. I think Doug O'Neill probably did some work with her. The O'Neill barn is going very well right now. And I think the addition of Jaramillo really will help this horse. I don't know if it's going to be just send her to the lead and go. I don't know if the tucking in has really been working for her, but 9-5, certainly no secret. We're going to put her in there, and we'll figure out, we'll let them, decide what tactics they want and, what's most effective. But I think she'll be very tough today based on what she's shown. Now, I'm also going to put the 4-horse, who is Luby's Music, for Richard Mandella. Richard Mandella legs up Mirko de Muro. These guys have certainly been a team. Now, Mandella, a couple changes here. He puts the horse onto the turf, changes the distance. Luby's Music has had two really nice starts in her career. She showed a lot of ability in her first start. She ended up getting beaten by Nafisa, and beaten right on the wire there by a nose by Nafisa. And as we've seen Nafisa, she's really turned it on lately, Nafisa. So getting beat by her, Nafisa went on to win her next two, including the La Cañada yesterday. So certainly no shame in getting beaten by a horse like Nafisa, who's gotten really, really good, in these last couple months here. Her next start, she got bet down pretty good there. She had kind of a rough start there from the one hole. She ended up coming third to Into the Hall. Into the Hall is a nice horse for the John Sheriff's Barn. Big purchase price Into the Hall. And I just think that start, in a second race overall, Luby's Music, little inexperience. She wasn't able to overcome that rough start. She ended up coming third. But, we'll give her a pass there. I think she shows a lot of ability. This is a homebred for the JMS stable. I know that they had that horse. Aunt Luby was Samantha Siegel's horse there, and she bred Aunt Luby, to McLean's Music to, get this horse here, Luby's Music. So probably a special horse for the JMS stable. And, you don't really see Mandella training for JMS much. Usually their horses are elsewhere. So I think Luby's Music, we'll see if she's got some ability. They're going to put her on the grass. Maybe she'll pull an upset here at 5-1. So in the fifth race, we're going to start out the Pick 5 with the 1 and the 4. All right, now let's go to the sixth race of the day. Sixth race is a 6-furlong dirt race. These are maiden claimers for $12,500, state-bred claimers. These are fillies and mares as well, and these are 4-year-olds and up. So this is your bottom rung there in Southern California. I mean, a lot of just very, pedestrian, slow horses here in this race. I'm going to put 2 horses in. I think one of these 2 probably will show some life today and win this 6 furlong race. The 2-horse Tom Star from Martin Valenzuela. Martin Valenzuela puts Orduña Rojas on the horse here. Now, I know these guys do some work over at Los Alamitos. This horse has run with a little better, has shown some ability, 2-1, could be tough here. Then I'm going to also put the 7-horse, who was Reckless Ride. Reckless Ride for Samuel Calvario. And I like the addition of Escobedo on this horse. Escobedo, I think, is a really good rider, very, underutilized rider, I think. So 4-1 on this horse. This horse has also run with a little better. I mean, this horse had been keeping company with maiden special weights, which certainly is a big difference to what they're doing here. In the last 2 starts for Reckless Ride, she ran in mile races, in a little bit better, maiden claiming races, and I thought she showed some ability, showed some run. I think the switch to 6 furlongs should be helpful here to her, and, we'll see Reckless Ride can get it done on a day like today in a probably very slow race, and maybe even a stagger fest at 6 furlongs. We'll see. But in the 6th race, going to put the 2 and the 7 here. All right, now let's move over to the 7th race of the day. 7th race is a down-the-hill race. This is the Baffle $100,000 stakes race here. The Baffle they've been running now for several years. This is a race for 3-year-olds only. This race kind of gets the horses started in the turf series that they have there at Santa Anita, and then also on to Del Mar in the summer. So I'm going to put 2 horses here in the 7th race, being the Baffle. I'm going to go with the 3-horse Hey Nene. Hey Nene comes in for the John Sadler barn. Hector Barrios takes the call. Now, this horse had been running with some really nice horses in his short career. He broke his maiden at Santa Anita on the grass, so certainly likes the Santa Anita grass. There's being 1-for-1 at a 5-furlong grass race. It is a little bit different, of course, going down the hill. They traveled this horse a bit. They sent the horse over to Monmouth Park to win a stakes race there, and the horse just kind of blazed away and went. So, the move back was to California. They tried a couple long races here. This horse did get it done at a mile in the Grade 3 Del Mar turf, juvenile turf, so showed some ability there. And then I think, he had taken on much tougher. They put the horse in the Breeders' Cup turf, juvenile turf there. There was no way this horse was going to beat Gstaad that day. I thought the horse ran a respectable race. I mean, you'll see a 10th place finish and say, what was respectable about a 10th place finish? Well, this horse really, just got out there and fought for the lead, ran on nicely, did have the lead in the stretch, and then just got beaten by a bunch of better horses. So I don't think there's a shame in that. So, they brought the horse back into another Grade 3 in the Cecil B. DeMille, which I think turned out to be a very nice race. That race being won by Unrivaled Time. Unrivaled Time's a very nicely bred horse, Cal-bred horse, and ran a big race that day. I think Hey Nene ran a really nice race there, coming 3rd. So 2-1, certainly no surprise, no secret here. There is a horse that's program favorite, being Greenwich Village, for Bob Baffert at 9-5. First time on the turf. I'm going to go against that horse. I think there's some turf performers here. And then I'm also going to put the 7-horse, who is Later Than Planned, for Phil D'Amato. Now, Umberto Rispoli is listed on this horse, but Umberto Rispoli got injured yesterday over at Gulfstream Park. So we'll take a moment. It sounds like Rispoli suffered a lower leg injury. So I'm wishing the best for Umberto Rispoli. Never like to see that. So, speedy recovery, Umberto. And, Godspeed to you, and hopefully we'll see you soon, in the coming months, after you rehab your injury. So there will be rider switches. Umberto Rispoli will not be riding. What this is going to do is this is going to create a lot of opportunities for California-based jockeys, because Umberto Rispoli, gets on a lot of very live horses and, gets a lot of winners. So not sure who they're going to put on this horse. Hasn't been decided yet, but, I'm sure the phone over at the barn, at Phil D'Amato's barn, will, certainly be ringing, because they're going to want, someone want to get on this horse. So Later Than Planned, 7-2. This horse has done some nice work over the grass, including 1-for-1 over at Santa Anita. That being on a 5-furlong stakes race, that being the Speakeasy, which is run in the fall. So this horse has run some nice races as well. Also ran, at Del Mar, broke his maiden at a mile race. So certainly has shown a versatility here. 7-2. If one of those short prices doesn't make it, I think a horse like Later Than Planned could be storming home down the hill. So we're going to put the 3 and the 7 in the Baffle Stakes. All right, let's move on to the 8th race of the day. 8th race is a mile in the dirt. This is a first level allowance race for California breds. And I've got 3 horses I'm going to put in here in this race to get this ticket moved along. I'm going to put the 1 horse who is Keithing Thunder. Brendan Galvin is the trainer. Galvin, does the smart move and puts Ismail Jaramil on the horse. So, this horse has shown some ability at these long distances. And first of all, I'm going to say kudos to the California the racing secretary over at Santa Anita. Start carding more longer races. I mean, it's, maybe you get some fields, to fill and connections want to run. I know they changed some of the rules in the Calbred ranks there in these allowance ranks, or, to kind of just increase field size. So that's going to apply to the 2 horse who is Berlin Wall. Now you're going to see Berlin Wall has won at this level, but ran in a sprint. So what they did this year, I think it was the starter here in the Santa Anita meeting, was this horse will get a chance to run in this first level allowance race again because it's a long distance. So Berlin Wall, I'm going to put him in here as well, that being the 2 horse. Berlin Wall, Steve Knapbarn, Tiago Pereira is the rider. This horse is going to take on, first level allowance horses who he has beaten in the sprint. He's going to try a long distance race. I liked Berlin Wall last time. Berlin Wall really disappointed us here. We bet the horse. He disappointed us in his first turf start. I don't know that he liked the turf. It just didn't seem like it was a comfortable deal for him. The start wasn't all that good. He kind of, got a little bumped around. So, Steve Knapp's bringing this horse back in like 9 days. So, he's really turning his horse around quickly, which I like. I always love that move. I love when a trainer does that. To me, it shows a lot of confidence. Berlin Wall is 3-1 here. Tiago Pereira. Tiago Pereira had a really slow start to the Santa Anita meet, but, had a big day yesterday and a big weekend. So maybe things have turned around him. So I think Berlin Wall is going to be a tough horse here. We're going to see if this horse likes the distance. I don't see there being any problem here. Being by Practical Joke out of an Uncle Mo mare, shouldn't be a problem going a distance. We're only going a mile. So I think the 2, Berlin Wall, is going to be tough. And then finally, I'm going to put the 8 horse. 8 horse being Left Hand Man. Left Hand Man being trained by Peter Miller. And there'll be a jockey switch 2 in this race. Umberto Rispoli had the call. We'll see who the barn puts in there. 4-1 on this horse, being the 8 horse, Left Hand Man. Now, Left Hand Man also qualifies with the new rule change. I know Left Hand Man has won this first level California allowance level here on the dirt, but didn't do it in a distance race. But this horse has shown some nice distance races, so we're going to see who he puts on the horse. I think Left Hand Man is very competitive here. He's a nice horse. He's been, to me, he's become a kind of a hard knocker, a California type horse. So we'll see what who's going to ride this horse, what kind of ride they put on the horse. But I think he could be tough here. So we're going to put the 1, 2, and 8. All right, let's go to the 9th race. That being the last race of the day and the cap for the day, and a lot of tickets will be riding on this with all the different carryovers. A lot of them will be going into this race. So nice race day carded here for that final race of the day. We got a 1.125 on the grass, and these are maiden special weights, and these are 3-year-olds. So maybe some future stars come out of this race. I do feel like there's a lot of horses with talent. I think it's a pretty open race. I've got 5 horses to put in here. Thought is I'm hoping we get some nice prices before that. We've got 5 horses in coverage. Let's call it nickel coverage since, we've got big football games. We've got nickel coverage here, 5 horses in coverage, and see if that could do it for us. We're going to put the 1 horse who is Out of the Woods. Out of the Woods for the Phil D'Amato barn. Diego Herrera takes the call here. Now, this is the first time with Herrera, so a couple changes here. You're going to get Lasix first time, which a lot of them are going to get here, being their 3-year-old year. This horse has been gelded recently, and Herrera takes the call. Now, this horse kind of had a rough trip last time, running in that pretty good race there with Plutarch. Plutarch was a very ready winner that last time there in late November in Del Mar. I thought Out of the Woods just kind of had a rough trip, and, better trip could probably do this horse some good. 6-1. We'll put Out of the Woods. Going to put the 3 horse being Charlie's Curlin. Charlie's Curlin coming out of the Jeff Mullins barn. Hector Barrios takes the call. This horse is 5-1. I'm going to guess this horse will get bet down, because of the connections, breeding, and, Hector Barrios. This horse also, I thought, kind of had a rough start last time, rough trip, overall last time where it was the first time around 2 turns for this horse. So I think, getting that 2-turn experience is going to be a good thing. The breeding's there. This horse should have no problem, going the 1.125. 5-1, as I mentioned. I don't know if we're going to get 5-1, but, we'll put Charlie's Curlin here. I think Charlie's Curlin's going to be, a tough horse here. Going to put the 4 horse was Army Man. Army Man from Michael McCarthy. Some definite changes here with this horse. Blinkers are going to come off here. Lasix first time. Haramil rides the first time, so let's see what Ismail could do here. This horse showed speed, showed a really nice race back at Del Mar, on Breeders' Cup weekend. Lost on the wire, to Isriach, which I think Isriach is probably going to be a nice turf horse there in California. And then, came back and ran in that Plutarch race. Plutarch, I thought, was a really nice winner there. We'll see if Army Man at 3-1, could be tough in this race as well. Going to put the 5 horse was Essos. Essos for Mark Glatt. And there'll be a rider switch here. Umberto Rispoli was listed on here. So definitely some live horses that Rispoli won't be able to ride. We're going to see what they do there in the jocks room, who gets this horse. This horse is 7-2 in the program. This horse has had 2 starts. A couple changes here. Blinkers are going to go on this horse. Lasix for the first time. And we're going to see a new rider switch here. Now, this horse did run last time in the race won by Medici. And Charlie's Curlin was in that race. This horse, had a decent trip. After the start, I think, there's a couple things here. A bit of a slow start. And then also, it's his first time going 2 turns. So I think the experience could make this horse live here, being the 5 horse Essos. And then finally going to put the 9 horse. 9 horse being Saharian. Saharian out of Jeff Mullen's barn. Juan Hernandez takes the call. This horse was a big price in his prior 2 starts. One being a 5-furlong sprint there at Del Mar. And then they put this horse 2 turns. This horse gets the jock switch here with Juan Hernandez taking the call. Certainly should be a good thing there. And, we'll see. Maybe this horse improves off those 2 starts. I don't know that sprinting was what this horse wanted to do. Certainly looks like a horse that, wants some distance. 12-1 long shot. We see these things happen in these last races. So we will put the 9 horse in there, Saharian. So we've got the 1, 3, 4, 5, and 9. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so for today's Carryover Sunday, January 25th, we've got the late pick 5 we're going to play, which does start in the 5th race. In the 5th race, we're going to start the pick 5 with the 1-4, with the 2-7, with the 3-7, with the 1-2-8, with the 1-3-4-5-9. Now that pick 5 ticket today costs $60. I think it's worth it. I think there's going to be some big pools. We might get a couple prices. I think the $60 investment, could be worth it today. So if you decide to play that, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. I'm going to play it. If you want to add or subtract to it, be my guest. If you want to play the pick 3s within it, the pick 4, that thing, those type of things, I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing on this Sunday. Let's wish ourselves some good luck and some good trips. We all know that makes a big difference. So as always, I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. Please do me a favor, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button for me. It delivers content to you for free. You can always like, dislike, make comments, good comments, bad comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's create a discussion. So let's make this a great day to close out the week on this Carryover Sunday. Good luck to everybody at the Great Race Place. We'll be back for more coverage next weekend. Thank you.